Welcome to part 3, the final section where I will be doing a quick demo of my application, followed by discussing deployment, additional features, and a reflection. So let's start with the demo of my app. Navigating to the Create Account page, we can enter a name, the email address, and password. We create an account and get a success message, and have a button to go back and create another account. Now we are trying to log into that account we created, and it is a success, and we can now log out. That account has $0 currently. Let's check the balance to confirm that. That's right. Now we go to the deposit page to try to add funds. We see that that works and have the updated balance with the option to deposit again. So let's try to do one more deposit. We now see the total is $250. Let's try the withdraw functionality. And now the updated balance is $150. Double checking that the balance is still up to date, which it is. And let's look at all data where we can see the data for that created account. I deployed my app with Heroku using the GitHub integration tool. I used this tool because I've been using GitHub to run tests and checks on my application. And any changes I save to my files are automatically pushed to GitHub from my local machine. Then it is automatically redeployed by Heroku with the latest code. The app is being hosted by Heroku, as you can see on the app's URL. The database is hosted by MongoDB Atlas, which I chose for a smooth transition from my local Mongo database. As for Docker, while it is a great tool to ensure reliability of deployed applications, I didn't use it as it would complicate running tests on GitHub. The main challenges I experienced were setting up a web-hosted database and enabling access to the database from Heroku. This process not only requires getting a user ID and secret from Atlas, but then required refactoring my dal.js code, which was initially configured for a local MongoDB database. I also struggled over multiple days to deploy my application to Heroku without running into errors. But thankfully, Heroku provides an intuitive console with error logging to guide me through debugging. In terms of additional features, I'd like to highlight the balance message displayed after a user makes a deposit or withdrawal. While it may seem simple, having the UI display the updated balance and not the balance before the transaction was a challenge. The component responsible for this would receive the data from the database so quickly that it didn't have a chance to update. My first solution was to incorporate a timeout function to give the database time to update, but it was unreliable, which made this challenge feel unresolved. After loads of brainstorming, I developed new features to wait for a database updated confirmation via single-use state variables before proceeding to the confirmation screen with the updated balance. A second additional feature I want to highlight is error handling on the forms. Beyond validating that the user inputs are in the correct format, I added timeout functionality to make error messages disappear after a few seconds, as well as clearing the form to save the user time from having to manually delete invalid entries. I developed this feature because I hate having an error message that lingers when I've already acknowledged it. The form clearing was something I've never done before and took some research to find a reliable way to implement this functionality into the forms. In reflection, I would have structured my database integration code differently by using a different provider. I spent so much time getting Heroku and Atlas to work together that by the time I achieved my goal, I'd realized I had pushed myself into a corner, making OAuth nearly impossible to integrate. If I started this project today, in hindsight, I would have started with integrating OAuth before working on integrating a database. If I had more time to build additional features, I would implement the user context to display the signed-in user on the navbar, which is something I dedicated several days to trying to build, but couldn't get something stable working in time. I feel a sense of pride of all the obstacles I've overcome through this project, and don't feel discouraged from some of the app's shortcomings, because I've learned so much from this capstone, which will influence my workflow and architecture decisions in future projects.